Rays snap a 5-game losing streak, and the Lightning come oh so close to taking down Toronto, but drop it in overtime. We'll get to all of that in just a minute. But for me, this is what's most important. I want to start off the podcast by saying I have a new appreciation, Steve, for all of the athletes, and I take back any slight whatsoever in my lifetime. If you have torn your ACL, and I've typed this a million times, oh, so-and-so had ACL surgery, so-and-so, tough break, torn ACL. My wife tore her ACL, and she had surgery by the Bucs team physician, Dr. Barry Craythorne, who was terrific, by the way. And let me tell you, I have such a new appreciation for what that surgery is, which is so routine now. It's almost like Tommy John, right? But it's a lot. It's a lot. And when my wife woke up, who has she had 2 kids, so quite a strong tolerance for pain that I've witnessed anyway. She woke up and she still had a block, like a block on part of her knee from the anesthesiology, or anesthesia that she took during surgery. They gave her 3 shots of morphine, 1 shot of fentanyl, and a Darvocet. I'm like, whoa, dude, you just took about $500,000 in street drugs right there. What are you doing? And she was still in some discomfort. So anyway, shout out to all of you, real American heroes in my book, that have undergone successful. Is there ever an unsuccessful? I suppose there could be.
Well, there is. They just never announce that. They
Yes,
always
right.
announce it's always successful
Right.
with the announcement.
Right. So-and-so underwent unsuccessful knee surgery. No, they never say that. But those of you that have been through it, and apparently there's scores and scores, like I said, it's fairly common. But Dr. Craythorne did a great job.
Well, your wife's now on the IL. Does she play outfield for the Rays? Because that
I know, right? What is going on there, man? They can't keep an outfielder. That's so weird. Yeah, maybe she can come back and do that. But yeah, it's tough. I got like I said, new appreciation for all those athletes. The Rays, meanwhile, they finally got a lead. They get a grand slam in the first inning by Jose Caballero, and then another home run late in the game by Yandy Diaz, who finally barreled up a couple. But the big story, Steve Versnick, was we finally found that there is a wind tunnel at Steinbrenner. The ball was helped tremendously over the wall for the first time, I think. This
yeah. So what? It went
series.
327 feet,
Mm-hmm.
95 miles an hour off the bat. And StatCast says it wouldn't be a home run in any other park but Steinbrenner Field, including Yankee Stadium, which has the same dimensions.
I think. Listen, we've talked about like the fly balls they've misjudged, and some of that might have to do with the night sky or the height of the lights and all that stuff. But those balls the other night were really anything towards right field. Everything blew out towards right field. Those, Gulf breezes, as we've come used to them this time of year, coming out of the west. Yeah, they helped a few over the fence. And so the Rays will take it anyway they can get it. And when I say hung on, they hung on. I mean, that grand slam they didn't do much with in terms of adding to it until late in the game. But it was a much needed win. They had lost 5 in a row, as I mentioned, and they've got this 13-game homestand. You're now 1-1. You've got the Angels. I think they play the Braves on this homestand. The Yankees.
By the way, the Braves not good.
Oh, really bad. What has happened to them? Pitching or lack thereof?
It's a little bit. It's just everything. I mean, they're just not a very good team right now.
Not a good team. Yeah, boy.
Like they don't seem to do anything well.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'll see what happens when they get to Tampa. But
I mean, they're 2-9 at this point.
Yeah, no, they're not good. They're not good at all. They've got to a terrible start. Ray's still not, like I said, one swing of the bat, and you get a grand slam and take a 4-0 lead. And that was the thing; they haven't led very many or any games here of late, and so you're able to at least feel good and make other teams chase you. Pete Fairbanks came in and closed one out and had some colorful quotes after the game. He's always a great interview,
which is good because he didn't close it out the night before.
That's right. So you got some redemption there. But yeah, much needed win. Good crowd. Usual sellout with over 10,000, whatever. And it was a beautiful day. It was, I woke up on I guess it would have been Wednesday, and went outside, and for April, middle of April, wherever we're at, April 10th, 9th or whatever it was. Man, it felt so good out there. It was like almost a fall day. It was dry, cool. I don't know where you live, what the temperature was. It was like
It was
60
about a
degrees.
perfect weather day.
Yeah, almost 59, 60 degrees where I was. So outdoor baseball, if you took in any of the games lately, man, you probably really enjoyed sitting out there, I would think.
No question about it. I mean, this weekend was a little warm, but they were on the road, so there was no outdoor baseball then.
Right, exactly right. So, yeah, and you still had, they still could have done a little bit better offensively after the grand slam, but the bullpen did pretty good. They extended the lead 5-3 with Diaz's first home run of the season. He picked up his second RBI in the 7th inning. Ryan Pepio pitched pretty well. Then you had Kevin Kelly, Manny Rodriguez, Mason Montgomery, and then Pete Fairbanks, like I said, worked an inning, and only Montgomery allowed a run. So pretty good. Pretty good day for them. Not as good, though, was the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I don't really know that it's going to matter ultimately, Steve, although let's be honest. I mean, you want to win the division rather than not win it, and I guess it's still not over. But the Lightning played Toronto, and you had a great stat about, Lightning played pretty well, could have deserved a better fate, lost in overtime. And once they got a point, obviously, but then so did Toronto. If they had won in regulation, they'd be in first place right now. But man, how many shots did Toronto block in this game?
36.
God.
The Lightning had 28 shots on net. They had 36 shots blocked. They had 90 shot attempts in this game. The Lightning played really well.
90.
They were flying up and down. Now, they let up too many rushes. They let up 2 quick goals, which were on bad turnovers. One by Hagel, one by Kucherov.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get the puck out of the zone. Toronto quickly turned and scored. I mean, they lost this game because of the mistakes they made. But overall in the game, they controlled the game. They were flying up and down the ice. Nikita Kucherov had 10 shots blocked. Victor Hedman had 7 of them blocked.
I mean, that's just Toronto giving up their bodies, right? Saying we're going to lay down here and take whatever we have to do to win.
Yeah, I mean
that's
the Lightning had all the possession, and so Toronto was put in that situation. They had to start blocking shots, and kudos to them. Give them a lot of credit. But this game was, the Lightning finished the season 0-3-1 against the Maple Leafs, so didn't win the game this year against them. But this was by far the best game they played against Toronto.
They've got blown out, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, the other scores were 5-2, 5-3, 5-3.
Yeah.
But yeah, games that Toronto kind of had their way with. This one, the Lightning controlled. They didn't
get the result.
They missed a lot of the nets too. How many posts did they hit in the first period?
Cooch had a couple really good looks and chances, or he just kind of sailed it over the crossbar or whatever. But
yep.
Yeah, if you bury one of those, right, it's a different game and maybe a different result. But
the Lightning get a point, so they're now there's 4 games left to play for all the teams. They are 3 points behind Toronto for first, and they're 3 points ahead of Florida for second.
Yeah. With how many to play?
4 games to play.
4. Okay.
Now the Lightning also play Florida.
Right.
Next week on Tuesday. But if the Lightning, 3 points with 4 to play. The teams are kind of locked in. They're not, but most likely Toronto's going to be the 1 seed. Tampa's going to be the 2.
Right.
Florida's going to be the 3, and Ottawa will be the 4. So it'll be
the
Battle of Florida and the Battle of Ontario in the first round, most likely.
There's not much you can do at this point. Anything can happen, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Would you change the way you play these final 4 games? And what I mean by that is, do you give Vasilevsky any extra days off now, knowing that the postseason is near? And
I would guess I would guess Johansson's going to start Sunday against Buffalo, and maybe the final game against Vancouver.
That's what I was thinking.
Against, the Rangers.
Yeah. one, you don't want to get him hurt right before the postseason,
Mhm.
and then two, it's the last chance he's going to have to be off at all. I mean, you
Yep.
know, if everything goes according to plan, he's going to have to win 16 games in net and play probably more than that to get you a Stanley
Yep.
Cup, which he has done. But
Now, if you don't want Vazzy to face Florida on Tuesday, you could instead have Johansson start Friday against Detroit and then Tuesday against Florida.
right. And it might be some psychological warfare with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to let our starting goaltender, you know, take an L heel right before a series, or not much can be gained, you know, from a standing standpoint. Just again, just to give him the rest, and God forbid, you know, keep him healthy going into the postseason, because he's been playing really, really well. I mean, they were down 2-0, and I think based on what I saw, it could have been much worse than that.
Oh, absolutely. He kept him in that game. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why they get the late goal early in the first, and that's why it's 2-1.
Right. I mean, they had a
Vazzy
chance.
kept him in that game.
Right. He absolutely did. And the way he's played, you know, certainly healthier than he was, way healthier than he was a year ago. He's got to give him a chance in every postseason game. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how Cooper kind of navigates these last few games with an outside chance.
My guess is they've had this mapped out for a couple weeks, and they'll stick to whatever their plan is.
Yeah, probably.
You know, and let's not forget in this game too, Jake Gensel missed for family reasons.
Right.
Presumably, and Coop kind of let the cat out of the bag a week or so ago, but his wife's expecting.
Yeah.
So assuming that she probably went into labor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the power play was a little different, and some of the top line was different. I think that affected some things tonight too.
Right.
And then you lost Luke Glendening as well. So late in the game, you were losing a lot of faceoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Faceoffs were kind of even through two periods. By the third, Toronto dominated them, but Luke Glendening left hurt.
Yeah.
Did not return, and that's your top faceoff guy.
Well, I mean, I think they've gotten better defensively as the years gone on. Do you see this Lightning team is far better equipped, I think, than in at least recent years, especially with the health of Vazzy.
Well,
when
let
you
me
get
put
in
it
the
this way.
postseason,
Dave Mishkin brought this stat up and asked John Cooper about it yesterday.
Right.
Last season, the Lightning were 25th defensively in the NHL.
Wow.
Before Wednesday night's game, they were third.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
you know,
there you go.
And John Cooper's answer was, yeah, I mean, that's why we're a better team. I mean, you know, did we expect that kind of turnaround? I don't know if anyone expected that much.
Yeah.
And they might be fourth now. I mean, you know, after tonight, giving up 4 goals. But
yeah, but a top 5 defense from where
you
they
went
were.
from 25th to top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And goals against per game. That's tremendous. I mean, that's what wins championships.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially in the postseason. Now, how much of that is a healthy Vasilevsky?
There's a lot of that. It's a healthy Vasilevsky. It's a Ryan McDonough.
McDonough, for sure.
Back there, who just makes Chernak better as his partner, and then Hedman doesn't have to take as heavy of a minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So then he looks better, and J.J. Moser's been great. And, you know, I thought Nick Perbix was fabulous on Wednesday night. He was all over the ice. And, you know, it just – everyone is McDonough – we've talked about this last year, like when they traded for Duclair, and it just kind of slotted everybody in the right spots.
Right.
McDonough kind of does the same thing on defense. But it's also, you know, look at your forwards. Jake Gensel's a tremendous defensive forward and has a great plus-minus this season. And then you trade for a Yanni Gourde, who's a very responsible defensive forward. And, you know, it's not just the defense, and it's not just Vasilevsky. It's a whole team effort. You know,
they have a lot of balance scoring-wise, too. I mean, they have depth. I mean, how many guys have scored 20-plus goals this year? 5 or 6?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so.
You know, but like Nick Perbix hit a career high with his 6th goal tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, look, the Lightning, they may not make it out of the first round. If they play Toronto or Florida or Ottawa, they're good teams.
Yeah.
Like the Atlantic Division is really good.
Yeah.
Once again, some of the best teams in hockey are in the Atlantic
Their
division.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you never know what's going to happen. They may not make it out of the first round. But this team is much more equipped. and plays a much better game that translates to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 of the top 10 teams in hockey, points-wise, are in the Atlantic Division.
Scoring-wise, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. 5 teams from their division are going to make the playoffs, most likely. Ottawa and Montreal will be the 2 wild cards in the East.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough division. We know how good Florida is. They're reigning champs. And Toronto, I think, is better. I don't know if you trust their goalie in the playoffs. It's probably going to be Stolars, who played tonight. You know, do they have enough defense? They can definitely score.
Yeah, it's just the way you do it. You got to go back into the division to start off the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, your first 2 games are going to be against the division.
Yeah. I mean, that's not ideal necessarily, but I guess, you know them as well as anyone, but rather see one of those teams, you know, in the Eastern Conference Final than first round. But you got to get through them at some point, I suppose. And at least, you know, when you start the series, you know, against Florida, you're healthy, knock on wood. Now, they still got 4 games to go, but
what you do know is you're probably not at this point playing Toronto in the first round.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
In order for that to happen, Florida would have to overcome both Toronto and Tampa to win the division.
Right.
Which means Toronto would almost lose out. Florida would have to win out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, at this point now, you're playing Florida or Ottawa.
And Toronto's kind of had their number, you know, a little bit.
Well, the Panthers just beat Toronto Tuesday night.
Right, but I mean in terms of, you know,
for the Lightning. For Lightning, you know, this season, I mean, Toronto went 4-0 against you.
Right, and until, you know, just the other night, you'd given up quite a few goals, so certainly
it looks like it's going to be the Battle of Florida again.
Yeah,
for a third time in 4 years? Or third time in 4 years?
And that's
the first round matchup.
That's what makes
they'll play. It was a second round matchup 4 years ago.
But that's what makes rivalries, right? Like the postseason, not the regular season. Sure, if you're in a division together, but like this has become like one of the better rivalries, I think, in hockey because of the postseason battles they've had.
Well, that's why hockey has chosen to not do 1 through 8, but instead keep it within division. They want to create these rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
And Tampa Bay and Florida are the Eastern Conference representative in the Stanley Cup Final for each of the last 5 seasons. The last 2 have been Florida. The 3 before that were Tampa Bay.
Not bad. Not bad. Right. But you would agree this team is in a much better position to make a run and win a series or 3 than they've been in a number of years, don't you think? Just the way the health of the team, Vasilevsky number 1, the depth of the scoring, the defensive improvements they made.
I mean, the way they play defense, the way they can penalty kill. They're one of the best penalty kills in hockey as well.
Yeah,
which is very important in the playoffs. You don't get as many, but you better stop them.
Better stop them. Yeah,
you know, because you don't score as many goals. So if you're giving up power play goals to the other team, good luck.
And they're just better prepared 5-on-5. That was their problem. You know, nothing against the way they played, but they were heavy on special teams. They got a lot of power play goals. 5-on-5, they weren't as good, and they're a better 5-on-5 hockey team right now. You know,
yeah, they've scored the most goals in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, so
now Washington's 2 goals behind them, and they have an extra game to play. Still, they've got 5 left,
But if I've got the world's greatest goaltender and I score the most goals, I feel pretty confident what I'm going to do when it really matters. You know, and again, everybody's playing the same number of days off, right? The road trips, so everything kind of evens out.
The biggest issue they have is they're only a 500 team away from home.
Yeah, they have not played well on the road. Yeah,
no, they're really good at home.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, home ice might make a difference, and now you're not going to have it. You know,
well, you will for the first round at this point.
Right.
I mean, if you finish second, you're going to have it for the first round.
Yeah.
And if the 4th seed wins the second round, then you could have it for the second. But if
you need an upset,
assuming Toronto wins, I mean, but in hockey, the favorite seed doesn't always win. So.
Right. Just don't go 7 games. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
I actually, sometimes, like I said, we talked about this. I just think there's so much pressure and expectations when you start a postseason series at home that, I almost prefer to be on the road and just try to get one hold serve. And now, you have a chance to take a pretty commanding lead, if you can split in the first two and then go home, win a couple. So I'm ready for playoff hockey. Again, it's one of the best times of the year. It's just the best postseason there is, I think, in sport. And you think about baseball. Like I was thinking about this the other day. We've just started baseball. You know what I mean? Like it is just like kind of out of the box, right? This is the 4th series of the season. They've had one road trip so far. It was a mini trip to Texas where they never win. But we don't know. We don't really. We know this about the Rays is that they can pitch. I guess you would say. Um, it's fun to see them outside, but it's such a long summer ahead. A lot of road games in the end, but that just puts pressure on them to win in the homestand. But it's early. It's so early. With the Lightning, I feel like we know they're going to be built for the playoffs. Like we know this year that they have, a healthy goaltender. They have enough defense and the scoring you just mentioned. So, the formula is there. It's just now, what you do when it matters. And I I I like this hockey team. I like the way they play, and they've been fun to watch. And we're finally at the end. I also think I think it's tough to chase it this late in the season too. Like that game meant a lot. Like they could have put themselves in a really good position maybe to win they had the lead perhaps if they'd have won in regulation. But in the end, it's just about getting there, right? It really is.
Well, yeah, this game meant a lot to Toronto too.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking with Luke Fox, who covers the Maple Leafs,
Mm-hmm.
one of the national Canadian media members there. And this core 4 with Toronto and this group that they have, and who knows if they're going to be able to stay together. Mitch Marner's a free agent this year and could leave at the end of the season.
Right.
They've never won the division.
Is that right? Wow.
Like, as good as this Toronto team's been, and we know that was 20 years before they won a playoff series. They've only won one since 2004. Like, that getting home ice, finishing in first place, this is important to Toronto.
Yeah.
More so than the Lightning. The Lightning, I think, would like to finish in first.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, if they don't care.
Right.
Like, just tell me who we play and let's go figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
They'd like to get home ice. They'd like to finish first.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, their goal is to get in the playoffs and then, let's do some damage. Let's make a run.
Yeah.
Whoever we play, wherever we play, the travel's the same. There's, you don't have the advantage of the home team who's got rest while the road team's playing their 3rd and 4th days and all this stuff that you do on the road. So, but for Toronto, there's so much at stake, and the home ice and all that. It's probably more important to Toronto than it is to Tampa Bay. Not that necessarily impacted the game, but we know how badly Toronto wants to win this division. They've never done it.
Right.
The Lightning went on and won the President's Trophy and got swept out. So at this point, they don't care after that.
Yeah, they've been on the top and it didn't work out. Right.
Right.
And they've won Stanley Cups without having the first seed. I'm with you. I think, it's a second season and it's the way you're playing and it's how you're built. And I think they feel really good about their team going into the postseason, especially with Bassey, the way he's playing and how he feels, as much as anything, how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm ready to get it on, man. I'm excited about it.
The playoffs start in 9 days.
I mean, the late nights, not so much. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a long day, getting up at 4 a.m. this morning or yesterday morning, and then doing this after midnight. But
well, you're not going to get up at 4 a.m. every day. I mean, your wife's not having surgery every day.
Well, you never know. The way it, in fact, I think we're going to wake up about every 4 hours and get some pain.
Well, that for a couple
so,
days you're probably going to do, yes.
Yeah, she's a little immobile, but there's some late nights involved with hockey. But that's what we do here at Sports Day Tampa Bay, and that's why you guys listen, because you get the reaction to those late games, and whenever you do listen in the morning or whatever, and we'll continue to do that. Hey, folks, it's time to tell you to get on down to International Plaza Mall and visit our friends at Breitling Boutique. You've heard about Breitling watches one of the best Swiss watchmakers anywhere, anytime. They've been in business 144 years, I believe, and they've been at International Plaza Mall for more than 5 years. You go to International Plaza, go to the center of the mall, and look upstairs. You're going to find a store that has the best customer service anywhere. They're used to dealing with celebrities, professional athletes. You probably see a Buccaneer or two, to be quite honest with you, if you hang out long enough. But you want to go check out their beautiful watches, men's watches, the chronomats, the Navitimers. They've been doing this thing lately where, really going back to Christmas, they've had a limited edition celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary. All 32 teams watches represented, and these things are beautiful chronomat watches with the various colored faces of the teams. The Buccaneers watch you can check out on TampaBay.com, and they've got the logos. I mean, these things are works of art, and you're going to love it if you're a sports fans. Again, all 32 teams while supplies last, but it's not just men's watches, right? They've got women's watches for your wife, for your girlfriend. Beautiful sports watches that she's going to love because they look fantastic and they're durable. If your wife or girlfriend's on the go like mine is, you can wear these. They bang around a little bit and still look terrific. They got all the different colored wristbands as well. It's Breitling Boutique. It's in International Plaza Mall. And when you get there, please let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Breitling Boutique.
Rick, we forgot to mention, and we kind of mentioned it last night, but the Rays had runners on third on Tuesday night in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning with no outs, and none of them scored. Per Stats Perform, they're the first team to have a runner on third with no outs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings and fail to score each time in a one-run loss since at least 1974. That's when play-by-play data is fully available.
Record-breaking team is what you're saying.
I mean, that's historic.
Yeah. That's who they are. They're an historic offensive club. But Juggernaut is NOT.
Wait, are they historic or prehistoric?
Yeah, prehistoric offensive Juggernaut NOT team. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible just how they couldn't get a guy in from third with nobody out 3 innings in a row. Goodness gracious. I mean, listen, this team didn't exactly rediscover the Grand Slam. I mean, that's a great way to win when you can, get off to a 4-0 lead and then kind of hang on. They're not hitting the ball that well, and they've got, you mentioned when we started the podcast, like their whole outfield is dinged up at this point. Yandy Diaz just started to hit a little bit, the other night, and they're missing Josh Lowe. They're missing big pieces right now, and again, there's no guarantee that when Lowe gets back, you can pencil him in for 25 and 100. I mean, we don't know. So they're going to be struggling and scuffling and trying to, patch this thing together and get just enough offense. But one thing they do have is a pretty good pitching staff, especially the starting staffs. I think have been phenomenal the first 2 or 3 times through, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, the pitching is going to be what carries this team, and it's going to be. It's always been the strength of this team.
You're going to give them a chance every week, every day. Mm-hmm.
I think, they'll be good defensively. I don't know if they're as good as they've been in the past.
Right.
I think they're trying to figure out offense, and so they've sacrificed a little defense for that.
Right.
When, you got guys like Christopher Morel in the outfield, and, Taylor Walls isn't going to start at short for the whole season.
Right. If you hang on until May,
Kim is going to.
You'll get Kim back. Yeah.
Yeah. Take that over. And he's good, but not, he's not Taylor Walls good defensively.
But better
Camaro's a work in progress at third. Aranda at first is a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yandy's doing more DHing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how, good Johnny Duluth. I mean, we know he's a good defensive center fielder, but,
got to stay healthy first.
When he gets healthy, how he plays. But so they're not going to be as good defensive. The pitching is going to be what has to carry them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will. The question is, can they hit enough?
Yeah. Can you score enough runs? And I think, they need their A players to be A players every single night. You need your big guns to come through.
And I think the hard part for this, too, with hitting is that they just don't know what to expect out of the stadium.
Yeah, I
they
think
don't have a
that's
home
fair.
field advantage yet because they don't really know what the field's going to play like.
Yeah.
Teams a lot of times build your team. You build your team around your stadium.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a pitcher's park, then you go for pitchers. Hitter's park, you make sure you got hitters that can hit it out. You're in Yankee Stadium, you can put a lot of left-handers in the lineup.
Yeah.
For the short right field porch. I mean, that's it's kind of what over time you kind of build it that way. It's not the end all be all of everything.
Yeah.
But the Rays just don't know what to expect. I mean, we expected a lot more home runs at this stadium.
Yeah.
Now it's just April,
It
and
could
we
be
don't
the
have the
time
hot
of
humid
year.
air. Yeah, we don't have the hot humid air yet. We don't have 90+ degree days yet.
Wind direction matters, and that
Absolutely.
blows at different times of the year.
Yeah.
Whether it's east to west, west to east. So
we haven't had as much as we thought at this point, but it doesn't mean by the end of the year it won't be one of the biggest home run hitting parks.
Yeah, exactly. And the dimensions would suggest that there's going to be a lot of home runs to right field, and there was the other night. They were all to right field, it seemed. So it would seem like it's going to play that way just because it's a shorter porch.
Mm-hmm.
The dimensions would, and that means you need some left-handed bats, and that's why losing low hurts. But as long as you can pitch and play defense, you got a chance. The bats will go hot and cold. Pitching and defense should not get a slump per se. Maybe you get McClanahan back at some point, and you get even better on the mound, but they're pretty damn good now. But the other thing is that they have to, whether they know who they are yet or not, you got to find ways to win these home games because this is your advantage right now. You got a 13-game homestand. You don't want to go 7-6 or 6-7. You've got to make some. You got to get some ground. You got to get above 500, especially against some of the teams they're playing. Turns out the Braves aren't very good, to say the least. Obviously the Yankees and the Red Sox can always do damage, but they need to take this series with the Angels. Like you need to win series when you're at home, like they did when they started against Colorado, and were able to get off to a decent start. So we'll see where they go. In the meantime, get your mailbag questions to us. You can do that, from Twitter or X at SportsDayTB. You can send me them at NFL Stroud. My email address is rstroud@tampabay.com.
Are you watching the Masters starting today?
Hello, friends. Across Amen Corner and all the way to Butler Cabin, it's the Masters. I will be. They're saying that more will be televised this year than we've seen in the past. The one thing that annoys me about the Masters is just that. I
think some of it's on Paramount Plus. You got to have a subscription for that.
Yeah, and I do. I think I have a subscription for every possible sports site, it seems. I think I'm paying about $900 a month for it.
Oh, that's a bargain. Should be more than that.
I know, right? So yeah, I'll be watching. I love the Masters. And you get the guys from Live Golf coming over, which is always an interesting sort of pairings at times. No Tiger Woods, so that's a bummer, but we'll somehow get by. Who do you got, Rory or the field?
I'll take Rory's daughter, who just made a tremendous putt on the par 3 day.
Did you see that? That was amazing. Yeah, that's as good a putt as I've seen since Tiger Woods out there. Wow.
She's showing me up because I can't putt like that. I mean, she barely hit that thing and it went.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, they always said the greens are so fast there. It's like trying to stop a ball in the hood of a Buick. You know what I mean? Like, it's really fast. But, yeah, that was fun. The par 3 tournament's always fun to watch on Wednesdays. But now the real thing starts, depending on when you wake up this morning. I don't know what kind of weather they're expecting this weekend. It's been nice. I think they just had a cold front come through, and I think we're in for some pretty good days, but we'll see. But, yeah, I'm excited about that. So we'll be talking a lot about golf, I'm sure, in the next few days, as well as anything else that comes on our radar as Rays continue their homestand, Lightning wrap up.
Day game today for them.
Yeah, afternoon. That's right. Getaway day.
And then the Braves come in this weekend, and then Lightning will play Friday night. They'll host the Detroit Red Wings.
I will be, if everything goes right and the wife is able to heal up, I will be probably at my first game at Steinbrenner Field on Friday, helping out, doing a little baseball. I do everything. I've done women's Final Four, now baseball. Come on, man.
I mean, you break stories in Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. I mean, you're everywhere.
I do it for the Sports Day Tampa Bay fans. I really do. And before long, there will be another sports station with live local radio with moi, yours truly, aboard. Not ready to release exactly when that will happen or the time of the day, but trust me, it's sooner than later. So looking forward to that on WTMP and ESPN. We are ESPN Tampa Bay. Da 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 da.
I hear there's some nervous people.
Are there?
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
In Radio Land, in the radio sphere.
That's what I hear.
Come on, nothing to be nervous about unless you want a little competition now and then. But yeah, it should be fun, man. I'm gonna have a good time. Coming back and better than ever. We'll have to get TJ on, get yourself on a few times, and see where we can take this thing.
Who?
Yeah, I know
that guy.
I didn't mention his full name because he's like that. Tom from St. Petersburg, let's say. We'll leave it at
first time, long time.
Yeah, first time, long time, right? And then at one point, no time.
I'll hang up and not call you back and not listen.
Exactly. Hey, you want to do the podcast? Maybe not. But yeah, no, we'll have a lot of fun, and that's coming up soon. So look for an announcement there. In the meantime, get your questions in, like we said, and I'm going to go back to taking care of my wife with the torn ACL. Many props to you who have been through this surgery. It is an unpleasant event, but one that was necessary. And thanks again to the Bucks doc for patching her up. Really appreciate that. Thanks for listening as well. Go see our friends at Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. They got a great collections of men's and women's watches for you. Tremendous staff. One of the best shopping experiences you'll ever have. Breitling Boutique. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.